United States Representative Chip Roy. Is this you, good sir? I have a soft spot in my heart for the great state of Texas. When I was working in the oil fields, I do remember that you had hardworking American citizens like myself in the trucking industry for over 7 years being replaced by those illegals within the range of Odessa, Monaghan, somewhere over there. These illegals are taught to avoid way stations and they follow orders and they're allowed to smoke all the meth they want. So that's just an attention getter to get your attention. I'm not sure if that is still valid in 2025, but during the course of my career as a truck driver in Texas, that was the latest news at the time. Anyway, sir, I appreciate the good work that the state of Texas has done. You was able to regain 5 seats in the House of Congress for the Republican Party. My name is Michael DeFore. I'm a California resident in the state of California. I'm for the Republic of California, so it's putting up the good fight. It would be nice to know I have the Lone Star State on my side because when I summon the Republican Party to promote a political campaign in the state of California, I would like to have Vice President Marine General G.D. Vance, President Donald Trump, all the great warriors, Greg Abbott, Vivek Ramaswamy, Governor Ron DeSantis. Every time I'm in the presence of Governor Ron DeSantis, I feel like I'm an American gangster. Like this, you know what I mean? It makes the men be men, the women be women, the love for America, the best barbecue you can think. You can thank the state of Texas for the nice meal that Americans can enjoy. We can appreciate our local organic farmers and the finer things in America. The better half of California that wants law and order, that wants a constitutional republic, that no one is above the law, and we don't want illegals on our side of the fence. So, what I propose to you, U.S. Representative Chip Roy, that although I'm not a resident of Texas, I had plenty of opportunity to travel to the state of Texas as a truck driver. I love your state. I love Texas culture. The cowboy hat on, a workaholic, working with my fellow comrades, securing the battlefield out there, working real hard. It's just the women we're missing. But now I'm in liberal capital, and the women here, they're too liberal for me. So I have to kind of reacquaint myself with the state of Texas, the state of Florida, every conservative and Republican state. Now, before I get ahead of myself, I would like for you to keep me in mind, Michael DeFore, in case I need a letter of recommendation if I need to transfer to the state of Texas to a university, a Republican college institution. In the state of California, my options are very limited. 97% of the college institution in California is Democrat. So I'm not sure if you understand the problem with the Democratic college institution, but they teach the woke ideologies, the feminism. They have a long list of vaccinations. They do a lot of things that's not conservative. I would like to transfer to a college institution that don't have age discrimination. To give you a fine example, the University of Southern California, they cater to 18 through 24-year-olds. Their music, their hip hop culture, the men wearing rainbow colored shoelaces, fruity in the booty. I'm not lying to you. You can come attend orientation, you can see it for yourself. But the bigger picture to all that is a screening process to see who's fit to enter that campus. So they have their way of evading ICE agents through a screening process. And not to mention, in the college institutions in California, they tend to have their own state constitution, meaning they don't like to comply with the federal government. So they have a lot of these big tech companies that come up with creative ways to kind of scam people. And with AI technology, well, when you go inside an American college and look at the size of the classrooms in California, it begs the question, why are there so many empty seats in the class? What's going on here on the roster? It says people are here, but physically they're not here in person. I'm not sure if you remember this, but back in my time in America, three unexcused absences is you kicked out of class. No excuse. So I kind of wonder why California has drifted apart from their curriculum, why the standards and expectations continue to go low, why these cartels and gangsters are running the state of California. And it would appear that the bad guys is having a great time in California. It's their amusement park. These criminals is able to make a lot of money through selling the drugs, the underage prostitution, the things they do best with crime and criminal organizations. And yet, the law abiding American citizens is forced to leave the state of California because of the crime rates, the outrageous cost of living. All these things come into play. And you know, right now, the demographic of California, well, we have a problem because they're all one big family, and these people are protecting their family members, the illegals, the immigrants, so they don't want to comply with the federal government. So I'm requesting reinforcements from the entire United States of America to reclaim California as state property of the United States of America, because the land leasers, the people that's right now paying taxes to the landowners, well, it's pretty complicated because you have those that's claiming it's stolen land, and the United States of America has to pay them taxes because that's their land. So they actually have a conflict of interest with the majority of the United States of America because we look at California like property of this country. And if they're not comply to the federal government, well, it's about that time. U.S. Representative Chip Roy. I'm speaking to you, sir, because I don't have a lot of options in California. I can't find a Democratic representative because in California they believe in democracy, and I thought democracy was a two-party system. I thought democracy is when you have Democrats and Republicans, and the American citizens have the right to choose. But in a corrupted democracy, all your options is just Democrats. So I don't understand how California can claim to be a true democracy when they're not even applying their own principles into their theories. Like a constitutional republic, what I have learned in school from a liberal capital college, that we have to have the freedom of choice, freedom of opinion. And we have a two-party system, so there's a friendly competition that forces one or the other to do better. So that's why we have a two-party system. That's what this country is founded on, from, you know, the US Constitution and the two-party system. But the state of California, they're a one-party system, and you can only imagine how they strayed apart from God. And I'm not here to read quotes from the University of Southern California, but it's pretty much the foundation was built for the glory of God and for the preservation of the republic. And I can read it word by word. It's for Christianity. It is actually in fine print. So I think it's funny how today in 2025, the University of Southern California, it's for the young crowd, the audience, the 18 to 24-year-olds. It's to cater to their needs. Instead of just focusing on the core of education, how to comply with the federal government to build the bridge so we can represent California and work for the federal government. We would like to represent our state, but it's hard to represent our state on the national level when we're indoctrinated with a bunch of these woke ideologies. It makes us look bad on behalf of the entire country. California, thanks to Governor Gavin Newsom, it's like a real dumpster fire. It really makes a bad reputation. I don't like to deal with the federal government coming off like with the blue hair, fruity in the booty, very, like flashy with my sexuality, very disrespectful. We have to be business professionals and go back into the way a politician should be. An American politician should be strictly for business, not for all this little entertainment, political theater, what they do best. Because you got to keep in mind, the Democratic Party has a tight relationship with Hollywood, so that's why they come off as actors and actresses. Governor Gavin Newsom likes to play with his hands. Like he has a lot of like hand movements going on, and I think he fails to understand that he's a snake charmer. So while he's hypnotizing people with his hand movements, he's actually judged by the words that actually come out of his mouth. And the things that he says, it's like false narratives. He's far from hitting the mark. Always accusing President Donald Trump this, the Republican Party this, and all actuality, U.S. Representative Chip Roy, that the Democrats need to pay a high price for high treason against U.S. Constitution. And Americans like me haven't forgotten what happened during the political pandemic, COVID-19. So they're going to have to accept the reality that they're going to lose seats in the House of Congress and the U.S. Senate because it's what they've done to the American people. It's our nice way of saying you caused a lot of casualties in America and you're solely responsible. You brought in all these illegals without the consent of the American people, and then you had the nerve to take the money from the American taxpaying dollars and give it all to the migrants instead of American citizens. And then you're blaming all your problems on the federal government when actually you can use the money that you have exploited from the American people and relocate or send those migrants back home. You can gather all the migrants instead of playing games with the federal government because they're hiding them right now. You can gather all the millions of migrants that enter our country illegally into one happy family and send them all back home where they belong. And if we did that, then we could actually negotiate terms and conditions of redistricting. Because the problem with redistricting right now is that the illegals that's hiding right now, they're depending on their voting power during voting season. So these Democrats are very crafty in what they do. And I'm just proud that the Republican Party has catch suit and they're using the same tricks against them. But I would also say the Republican Party should go a little further because you have to remember what happened with the open border policies and all these millions of migrants. And let's not forget about the latest news out of Florida that illegal immigrant truck driver killed 3 Floridians, and now there's another beef between Governor Ron DeSantis and Governor Gavin Newsom. And I'm on the side of the Republican Party. I claim to be an associate. I don't officially belong to the Republican Party, but I'm trying to build up my portfolio and my credentials to rightfully belong to the Republican Party. So that way I can be able to enjoy the nice barbecues, the gatherings, just really be proud of our country and bring a family to our country. And I'm hoping with whatever time you have left on earth, I'm on your good side and you can show me the best parts of Texas. I would like to have a tour guide and a really enjoyable vacation, a tour, and just have fun doing it. In California, I'm very limited on my circle of friends. I only have one best friend, and we had to tackle that liberal community college together. And you'd be very surprised. We actually won against the argument between meritocracy and DEI. Didn't earn it. We actually won. And it was so shameful that these people started going after us because we beat them in their own game. And they failed to admit that their intelligence didn't help them. So they were really offended how we told them that. So explain to me, since this college teaches American history in the light of hating white people, how is someone like me supposed to earn a job in the American economy when you're favoring these people of a specific skin color? And because of the LGBTQ community is not representative, you're going to hire them no matter what. So even if I worked hard, I'm never late, I do all the extra homework assignments, perfect attendance, a GPA of a 4.0, you're still going to hire these transgender and these other people just because of DEI didn't earn it. So explain to me what's the point of me coming to school when the 80% of the population here is of a certain demographic and I'm the minority? Explain to me why are you allocating federal funding to these illegals and not taking care of your American citizens? I would like to know the reasoning behind all these things that's going on. I said it in words similar to that, but I wanted to get directly to the point. So I'm pretty sure you understand where I'm going with what I'm telling you. There's a lot of things in the state of California that these Democrats are not they're not going by the book. So I'm requesting a two-party system. I'm hoping the Republican Party can listen to the videos of the people I made. I made a lot of videos for the Republican Party because I actually want a political campaign to be started in California, and we can all be on the same boat, same wagon. I don't want to waste too much of your time, U.S. Representative Chip Roy, but in general, I like you as a person. I've seen a lot of your videos, and you represent, like, you remind me of John Kennedy, the real traditional Americans. I love that whole, the character. That's always in the back of my mind. I'm not too smart for my own good. I appreciate good men when I see them. It doesn't matter, sir. I know my place in our country. I worked hard for a living. I used to be part of the hardworking class. And it would have been nice if I would have known someone like you, because I would have want you to be my employer, and I would have been well taken care of as long as I work hard. I make you a lot of money. You take good care of me. That's all I want. In California, it doesn't work that way. Office politics in California, they're I don't want to be too vulgar, but the wrong people are in power. That's the problem with California. When we're asking our country to actually have equal representation, we need the Republican Party to take over California. Make it a two-party system and make a friendly competition between two parties, so that way the Californian residents can be the judge to choose who does what better. We have to introduce this political theory to the American people of California. Texas, if you need my assistance, I would rather speak to you in person and explain my ways of doing business. So it may be unorthodox, but I think it's necessary, because you do have some escapees from California that live in Texas, and you have to deal with their liberal nonsense. And the thing is about this, we can be decent about this, but they need to remember one important thing. What you did with the open borders and with these millions of migrants, that's high treason against the U.S. Constitution. That's unforgivable. So you're going to have to pay the price for what you did. Back then, the founding fathers of the U.S. Constitution, I ask you a question, U.S. Representative Chip Roy. Do you believe that traitors would be hanged for high treason against the U.S. Constitution? Do you believe that the founding fathers would make an example of those that's trying to help out another country to take over this country? How do you think they would feel about that? Don't you believe that they would have changed a lot of our laws? There wouldn't be anchor babies. There wouldn't be these people intentionally breaking our laws and traditions, finding loopholes in the Constitution so that way they can benefit their own country. You see why this is so important to understand who works for the United States of America and who works for the foreigners that's trying to invade our country. It's very important to understand the histories, the reasoning behind these people, and why the Democrats have to pay for what they did. Because, I mean, time after time again, when you try to establish trust with people that don't love our country, I ask myself, how long is it going to take until the Democratic Party reinvite all these criminals that we deport to have them come back in their country? We have to remind them that, listen, our laws are absolute. You want to come back in power and you want to reopen the borders and cause all this craziness stuff to happen again. America, we don't want that stuff. We want national security. We have to rely on the federal government to enforce our pre-existing laws, because the states have failed the American people. The state of California is a prime example of a corrupted democracy, and they need to be taught a valuable lesson that you need to comply with the federal government, because the majority of the United States of America has voted for the self-interest of America. The state of California has failed the American people. And I don't know how you feel about this, but any state that is out of line, that goes against the will of the American people, I ask you, what would the state of Texas do? I mean, do you remember when those migrants was displacing American workers? How that ruined your economy? How you realize that these people that's proud of their criminal behaviors, the graffiti, the destruction of property, all this loud and disrespectful behavior they have done to law-abiding Texans, how disrespectful it is to you and your jurisdiction when you allow these criminals to take over your own state. We speak the same language, Chip Roy. And I want you to know that my white father was in the Navy. So there's a lot of him that I carry with me. And I have to also pay for my forefather's decisions. So that's why I'm a half breed. But if I was going to bring an American family to our country, I want you to remember my name, because I have a lot of love for our country. And I'm not going to allow my own Democrat mom to ruin my life, because she was a law-abiding American citizen. She served in the U.S. military, but she has a mixed ideology, a mixed mixed emotions with the Democratic Party, and I repealed the 19th Amendment. I don't believe that women like my mom should have the right to vote. The reason being because she's not understanding the whole picture. She's taught racism. She's taught to hate white people, and you can only imagine how I feel. Have to always argue about identity politics with my mom, and I always tell her that we should be grateful in this country. It doesn't matter if you fucking hate white people and what the fucking Democrats teach you. Be grateful of the people that gave you opportunities, that pay you for the military. She gets her military benefits, and be thinking. So, unlike my mom, I'm grateful for my freedom in America. I'm grateful for the veterans that fought for my freedom and everything. And these spoiled children of the Democratic Party, they have no respect for American culture, no respect for our national flag. They need to be taught a lesson, and we need the adults back in power. We need the adults actually in control, telling these kids to take off their cell phones in school. Focus on your education. Take life seriously. Stop thinking everything's about jokes, getting views on social media. All this stuff needs to come to an end. I'm depending on you to make that call, and I'm going to reach out to Vice President JD Vance, as many people as I can on social media. But I do want you to remember my name, Chip Roy. In God we trust. God bless you, Chip Roy.